Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ. Super excited to have in-house dietitian and coach Mark here. How are you, mate?
Excellent. Thanks, Greg. I'm so excited to be here. This time we're going to delve into topics that I'm passionate about. It's good to be on the couch with you.
You've done your time on the stage and in the books. You're a qualified dietitian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you played dietitian for quite a while.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2011 with my Masters of Nutrition Dietetics to become a dietitian. It's crazy to think that that's now, 12 years ago?
When was that? 2011. 11, and then 2 years later you go on to win Musclemania.
Yeah, that's right. That's 10 years ago. Yeah, 2/13 November in Vegas, winning Musclemania, World Fitness Model Show.
That must have been unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I can remember it. I
remember seeing on magazines all the time going, this guy's fake. Hey, there's got to be Photoshop involved here. Have a look at that. But what did you say 10 years later?
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
No joke. I pulled the mag out the other day. You haven't aged. You must be a vampire.
Thank you, Greg. It's too kind. I mean, yeah, I feel like I've aged heaps, but thanks. I mean, I'm seeing wrinkles all over the forehead and definitely not recovering as quick as I used to.
Soon, but we're going to talk about protein in general today because I know you love your collagen as well. Yeah. Mate, I'm just going to pull a whole lot of questions out that have come through the office. And instead of us just replying to people one-on-one, we thought we'd start doing some quick little podcasts full of information with somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I'm going to rip into the first one. I'm reading off a phone. I do apologise because my memory's not that good.
Put me on the spot. Let's go.
You probably answered these already. Is it true you need a large amount of protein to build muscle?
No, protein's definitely vital in building muscle, but whether it needs to be a large amount or not, probably not really. I would say that the majority of the population are actually probably not getting enough protein to build muscle, but that doesn't mean that there needs to be a large amount. If we can work between 1 gram to 1.2 grams of protein per kg body weight per day, if we can work on that, that's a reasonable amount and
that's
very
not sucking
achievable.
Protein shakes, that's total protein for the day.
Total protein for the day. That's very reasonable amount. So that's not a huge amount by any means. And that will go a long way towards helping you build muscle.
Yeah, nice. Mate, we have a lot of people that still fear protein in the marketplace. Like we sell through Coles, Woolies, ASN, Nutrition Warehouse, a lot of places. So we touch a lot of people with our proteins. And some of the questions that come back to our customer service team that hit you and I after that is, and I think this is a really valid one, can consuming too much protein harm my kidneys? What do you reckon?
Well, nice and easy. Absolutely not. That's a myth bust we need to get out there, and people need to stop being afraid and scared of protein. Look, if you're predisposed to kidney
failure, that's the big thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Then sure. And then your doctor or your medical profession would have advised you on that. Or you're doing sort of, if you're in that stage of your life where you're doing regular medical tests and examinations, then you'll be aware of that. Or there's a genetic history of kidney failure. But otherwise, no, don't be scared.
Generally safe, but you know what? If you have to ask yourself that question, go and ask your doctor.
Sure, yeah. For some extra safety, sure, and then move forward.
And most of our packages say 1 serve a day. It's not like that's a massive amount of protein that's going to change the game for you.
No.
But be smart, kids. Get out there, do some reading, do some learning for yourself.
Well, it might be interesting to think about the amount of protein that you get in from a serve, say 30 grams in a protein shake, for instance, 25 to 30 grams. How does that relate to real food? We're not doing anything that's out there, that's crazy, strange. Real food, tin of tuna, 20 grams of protein. Typical 200 gram of chicken breast might be 35, 40 grams of protein. So this is normal values of protein that you're getting in a shake. Yeah,
I'm a believer that protein powder is a food.
Yeah, exactly. We're just helping make life a little easier there.
It's a good life hack. Here's a question. We've all heard this one before, but we'll throw it out again because we're still getting asked. Do plant-based proteins provide all the essential amino acids? And I don't think they mean essential. They mean, does it have all the aminos?
Yeah. Is it complete in its amino acid profile if we're talking about 20 amino acids? Well, no. The answer is no. And that's why it's that much more challenging living a plant-based life. And full kudos to those that are making that work, because that is more challenging. It's harder to get the protein in that way. But the way to do it is just to combine different plant-based protein options.
And then you nail it on the head.
So that's what we do in our plant-based products, isn't it? Like we might mix a soy protein with a rice protein with a pea protein together. You can get a complete amino acid profile.
I'm not using a lot of soy, but yes.
Sure.
And I'm not against soy. Soy is actually these days, soy is a quality protein. I mean, hey, it's no way. All the haters don't come running at me. But soy protein protein 10 years ago, 20 years ago when I started this, oh, yuck. Like Dad said, it looked like porridge when we used it. But now it's a beautiful product that's actually got a great taste profile. And I think, but our plant proteins are soy-free. But we've got 10 different proteins in there in our plant protein. So it's a nice, our clean plant protein is a great one to have a look at. And it's, have a look at the aminos on the back, they're listed.
There you go. Exactly. It's all listed. And it's interesting you touch on that because you're talking about 10 years ago. At that point, you had the business for 15 years. And think about 10 years later now, I guess how much things have advanced, and you've obviously managed to continue to advance with
and it's
the trends.
so good to see too. You need people in the industry to make that happen, and there's really good people in the industry now. It's the Australian sports nutrition industry and worldwide is massive. It's one of the growth categories in the world, and really glad to be part of it, to be honest, mate.
Very special.
Yeah, it's funny. Back in 2010 or 11, we were the first ones to ever do a certified organic Australian plant protein. Like it was and certified organic, and it was a blend as well. Took a long time to get through the regulatory side on that. Like it was crazy. But that's how long we've been in plant proteins for. So if you're sitting out there thinking, Body Science is just capitalizing on our plant protein, well, every other brand that came after might be doing that. So I don't say that type of shit much, but I'm sick of it. Like,
no, it's true.
Our plant protein is really good.
I remember back in the year, I can picture that original branding of
the brown cardboard canister. That was
you were pioneering that.
Yeah, that was all recycled cardboard. It had organic inks. The recycled part came on the label was from in Indonesia. They were cutting down a lot of trees and just throwing the bark away. And somebody took the bark and turned it into paper. We were the first ones to use that paper on that product. We did a lot of things in that space. And I guess the big problem then is like we're talking 2011 or whenever it was. It just tasted like shit.
Yeah.
It really tasted bad. I remember tasting it, spitting it out, thinking they'd cracked a joke at the place at our flavour house, and they all looked at me and I went, okay, not a joke. This is the real deal, this one. These days, though, I'm into our plant protein. I have it a lot. It's got an earthier taste and way, but very simple to drink, very easy, and the flavours are great.
Yeah,
you can mix it up. So if you do suffer a little bit from those lactose intolerances, plant protein can be a great alternative, as can collagen.
Yeah, why not even choose it? I sometimes recommend to my clients just choose one day a week where you go plant-based.
Yeah,
you know, do no harm, things like that. And
I'll try and do a day or two of that.
Yeah, and we've got options for that. That's good. But wow, how much ahead of the game were you back then in sustainability and in plant-based? Well, 2010 and 11.
No one cared, just so you know. We thought we were doing the right thing there, but no one gave a shit. Anyway, that's life. Here's a big one, and it's a multi-million-dollar question, and you've stood on stage and won a Musclemania, so I think you're fairly qualified outside of your years at university become a dietitian. Will consuming protein immediately after a workout enhance muscle recovery?
Doesn't have to be immediate.
Yes, that's a big thing, isn't it?
That's where I think we were at for many years.
We used a 20-minute window, the anabolic window, or whatever we called it.
Yeah, exactly. I
still tell people to do that just quietly. Athletes, it's all about consistency and routine. And if you don't have a time to do it, you have a time to miss it. Does that make sense?
Good.
So, so from that point of view, we still, and all the elite teams we talk with, they still take protein drinks after training and after games and that type of thing. They're doing a lot more than just drinking protein in that phase. But the question was, and as I said, you're the one with the dietetics degree and the I stood on stage with muscles. Why am I even answering? Like, seriously, shut up, Greg. Will consuming protein immediately after a workout enhance muscle recovery? And you said not straight after.
Well, it doesn't have to be immediate. It doesn't have to be straight after. We don't have to get pedantic and stressed about this time frame straight afterwards. Like you mentioned, people will have their preferences of when to have it. If that's their routine to have it straight afterwards, then that's great. There's no harm in that.
Yep.
Okay. One thing I would say is if you delayed it slightly, there's research out there that's saying that you may be getting more of a potential thermogenic effect of the workout, which means you may be going into more of a weight management zone or fat burning that you get out of the workout. So you delay it a little, and then you consume it, which might be an hour afterwards, hour and a half, 2 hours. The aim is to still get protein in at some point after the workout, of course. All right. But if the priority is nothing to do so much with weight management, the priority of the workout is to gain muscle, there'll be no harm in having it straight after, okay? But there'll also be totally fine if you miss that so-called window and you have it when time provides you to have it. But definitely go ahead and have it. Yeah, that's right. I would say also the importance of having some amino water during the workout will actually also help.
You're a big fan of that, hey?
I'm a big fan of that because that's something that can be very quickly digested into the muscles while we're activating them. And that can actually help you train harder and potentially buffer that lactic acid so you have a better workout. And then at least that is a safety mechanism for delaying the protein.
So you get delayed for hours now.
Yeah.
It's also a hydration strategy too, mate. You need to stay hydrated. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Is it true that consuming more protein can help with weight loss? We all want the answer to this one.
Definitely. Of course, more protein can help with weight loss. And like, you could answer this in so many angles. One way it helps you with weight loss is because it's filling. So
yeah, satiety is a big thing.
So it can reduce your cravings for other foods, which would be non-preferential choices, especially like reducing sugar cravings. So therefore, in that regard, it's going to help with weight management. Secondly, it's mostly stored in our muscles, and that's where we want our food to go. It's not going to store as a fat, and so it's paired with carbohydrate as the leaner macronutrient than fat. Of course, producing 4 calories per gram. So it is pretty lean. We can have a fair amount of grams of protein and still stay in our calorie number for the day.
Yep.
So many reasons why protein helps with weight loss, fat loss, or weight management.
Yep. And this next question is a bit of a loaded gun for you because you work for a supplement company. So this one could be a little bit tough. Is it necessary to consume protein shakes or supplements to meet my daily protein requirements? That's a loaded gun. Hey, I wouldn't even like answering that. The answer is yes, Mark wants to get paid. Nah, I'm only joking.
But it's actually not.
It's not. You're right.
You don't have to consume it. What we've provided over here is, like you always say, it's life hacks to make life easier.
It's a supplement. It supplements a good program.
That's right. Yeah. It is still a supplement. So we do always say, first and foremost, try get your protein in with your food. Yeah. Go for it. And we're all about that, but we also realize the reality of life and how can we make it more sustainable? How can we make protein more enjoyable? How can it taste good when you're trying to?
Yeah, you're not getting a chocolate flavored steak, are you?
No, you're not.
And boiled chicken does not taste like some of the new flavors that are out these days.
This is something that, regardless on what calorie restriction you're on, what stage of even competition prep you're in, you're craving something that tastes good and that's sweet, and the protein shake gives you that. I've always looked forward to having my protein shake in the day because it's something sweet that you can enjoy in the day. So, or protein bar, or be able to have a dessert at night. Like back in the early days, who would have thought it could be having a mousse or protein jelly before going to bed,
isn't it? Yeah.
And still stay in your calorie numbers. So it just makes life easier and makes it more sustainable, more manageable. Life's busy. Why not use it as an option?
And I'm assuming you've read these questions because my next question is, does consuming protein before bed, which you just dropped in, improve muscle growth during sleep?
Well, it can, because when we sleep, that's when our body recovers. So especially if you've trained on that day, you've lifted some weight, your muscles are looking to recover while you sleep. So why not give it the macronutrient that is the primary focus for recovery, which is protein. So before you sleep, it's got every chance of recovering, rebuilding, and growing.
Yeah, nice.
So, and that would be where we use our slow digesting protein, right? Like whey protein concentrates. Yeah, because they're going to digest more slowly throughout the night.
Yeah, that's it. And your jellies and all that with your milk-based proteins and stuff, they're great. They're good sources. Here's a big one. We obviously, 25 years in the game, we have some really great retail partners. So we have a spread of, from 16 to 60-year-olds that utilize our products, and probably covering a lot of those outer shells in that space because we have such a drug-tested product, and so it gets a purity stamp over a lot of other brands in that space. So this question is probably more aimed at certain populations, but are high-protein diets harmful to bone health, or do they help bone health?
They absolutely help bone health. And we're talking about in that later age going into potential osteoporosis, breakdown of bones, and been proven over and over that protein helps with bone health. So absolutely. There are many other things that help with bone health also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Resistance exercise being one, or, definitely like I always thought it was interesting. The earlier you start with sort of pounding bones, like gymnasts and things like that, actually really good for the development and making bones really strong, right?
Yeah.
And to prevent that. But still, we do what we can through food, and obviously calcium and
vitamin D, all those type of things. They're all good strategies, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. But protein will help
quite a few calcium-based proteins around these days. When you have a look at some of our mainly nighttime stuff, the dessert stuff's all based on calcium-based.
It's great that we've got that.
Casein-based products. So yeah, you look at the back of a nutritional panel on a protein, and if it's got a calcium score on it, it'll have a number next to it. Go and have a look.
Yeah, we're very good at displaying all of those call-outs on our products, and there are so many, and it's incredible. Like, there's nothing that doesn't have to be confusing because the food label is there, the ingredients list is there. Obviously, the ingredients list is listed from most to least. Yep. You can see you got percentage RDIs over there.
That's a big thing with calcium next to it. You can see where you're at. That's a good thing. Mate, I'm just asking this one for a mate. Can excessive protein intake lead to weight gain?
Sort of. Look, in my experience, no. I have not seen that. I haven't read research on that. Let's still second that by saying that we do always need to exercise and you know.
Calories are calorie too, isn't it?
Yeah. But you're still getting those 4 calories per gram from protein like we've mentioned. But, you know, if you're eating more protein, you're likely to eat less carbohydrate, less fat. That in itself will help control your calorie intake for the day. You're likely to be more full and satisfied, less sugar cravings, and protein lives in your muscles. So you're most likely to rather build, if the scales go up, it's most likely more going to be muscle weight because protein's going into your muscle.
Hi, I'm Tom Green, Olympic champ from Tokyo. And if you want the best tasting protein bars on the market, you should try the new Body Science Moose range. Greg, you better be testing these.
Mate, they're getting drug tested, got you covered. Not sure if this one's in your area, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is whey protein and how's it derived?
Whey protein comes from milk.
Yep.
Yeah, so whey protein comes from milk. You get whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate.
It's ripped out during the cheese making process.
It's the cheese making, is it?
So if cheese consumption goes down worldwide, protein prices go up.
Okay,
so we need the French to keep eating cheese.
Yep.
Because that keeps our protein prices down.
Goes through a heating process, or is it the dehydrogenization?
So I've got a little answer here just in case, because I wasn't sure if this was your area, because I'm sure you don't go into manufacturing processes when you're doing your dietary studies, but it's the liquid portion that separates from curds when they're playing in that space. So what was that old sitting there eating her curds and whey? Like exactly. So it manages to take away the lean part of the cheese, right? Like the protein part, and leaves behind the fat. Look, it used to be like the waste.
Yeah, okay.
The whey that was when they were making cheese, the whey was the waste part, and someone's gone, hang on, we can use it. It's high protein, and now it's a massive industry. And
that's great. So it's just stumbled upon as a byproduct.
It's probably one of those things. I mean, when I started this 25 years ago, it was pretty hard to get protein.
Yeah,
it wasn't something that like today you can get on Google and get a protein within 2 minutes. When I first started back in the day, and I had access to protein coming out of New Zealand, and I remember that I need to get it blended and flavored. Nobody had. I think Max's was around back then. Like Max's is a brand that, and you know, you got to love what Max's was, very bodybuilding in that space, like huge. They had can paint tins with their protein jars with big, super muscly cartoon dudes on them. Yeah. And, you know, they nailed that market that they were in. That. You know, we went sport, lifestyle, people was our play, which was very different. But I remember I spent, I don't know, weeks trying, and it wasn't like it is now where you could just jump online and find stuff. So we're talking back when I don't even know if there was a internet connection back then. It would have been close, but it would have been one of those ones where you turn on and you walk away and come back because it's still dialing to get in. And nobody had websites back then, so you had to do the hard yards. Anyway, poor Greg. I ended up finding this guy, and he flavoured meat sausages for Coles and Woolies. Okay. That's what his business did.
Okay.
And when I said I wanted to flavour like protein powder, he goes, why would you do that? Really? And I go, well, there's an application. We think we can do it type stuff. And so then I went to him and I found out he actually helped formulate the first ever liquid soy drink. Back then, but it wasn't marketed as a protein powder back then. It was more of a health style drink back in those days. And yeah, he just went on to, and I spent so many days in his lab learning how to do all this stuff. It was so much fun back in those days.
How cool. What's this? These days
I look at spreadsheets.
This is early 2000s. Was it?
This is before 1999.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
1999. Our February was we launched a product. Then we actually did a lot of work before launching a product. Like I spent a long time. Anyway,
wow.
That's a great story, Greg. Shut up, nobody cares. Let's move on. Is whey protein suitable for people with lactose intolerance?
It's really interesting because the actual whey that we take out from the dairy, like you've said, is very, very low in lactose. Like in my belief, it's not going to have an effect on people that are sensitive to lactose. But we can't technically say it's
if you suffer from, don't put yourself through it is what I say. It's not. There's other alternatives out there, and especially don't buy a blend. Like if you're going to go for a blended protein, that is going to have a lactose in it. And if you're not lactose intolerant, it means nothing. Like it's not a bad taboo thing.
Yes.
But if you suffer from that, have a look at the plant proteins and the collagen proteins. I mean, they're there for you in that space. That's why brands like ours and many other brands don't just have one protein powder.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's it. If you're undiagnosed and you're unsure, but you just feel like you've drank milk and the milk upsets your stomach, or yogurt's upset, or cheese I would still say just give give a whey protein a go. Give it a chance because it is so low. And then if it upsets you, if it does, then you've got the plant-based options to choose from. In many cases, I've seen where people are amazed that they didn't think that they could tolerate, and they feel just great having it.
And look, there's a lot of before COVID, there was a lot of cheap proteins on the market.
Yes.
I get why some people feel crap, and you can't even believe what's on the label on every product, which is a tragedy. But
that's exactly
the other thing we do is we use Digizyme digestive enzymes.
Yes.
This isn't a question on here, but I thought I'd just throw this one at you.
Awesome.
So that's one of the reasons. Like if you are slightly the digestive enzymes might be covering for you in that space.
The lactase, the amylase. Yeah,
I'm not going to name them unless I turn the bag around and read it. I'll be really honest with you.
But that is really impressive that we have that, because if we didn't know, for our listeners, enzymes normally end in A's, so lactase, and it breaks down the sugar from milk, which is lactose.
Yep.
So, and we've got that in many of our protein products. So it's specifically there to help digest the lactose. Yeah.
Here's a good question we get asked a lot. Is whey protein the only beneficial protein for athletes and bodybuilders?
Not at all. The only one. No.
It's the fastest. But for mass market, we don't need the fastest. We probably want the one that makes us feel the fullest, to be for most people, to be really honest.
Yeah. Sometimes that's right. It's looking for feeling full again, or is it looking for more post-workout, as in get it quickly digested into your muscles. But otherwise, other forms of milk protein,
there's so many different ways you can do it.
We've talked about.
Look, whey's still called king in my head. Whey's king, and that's purely because it's digested quickly.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Can whey protein supplements be used as meal replacements?
Well, it can be, but we don't specifically do one over here.
So that's a specified act, actually, the Meal Replacement Act. So when we talk about meal replacements, we're talking about a criteria the government has defined can be utilised as a meal instead of sitting down to a plate.
Yeah.
So we don't particularly play in that space. But a lot of people use protein drinks around their food planning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, it's probably this might be what some consumers find complicating, isn't it? Because
most meal replacements are pretty high in calories. They're hitting the 200 plus, whereas a whey would be 120 calories.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be living on a straight whey drink, but there's a lot of people who skip meals and have, if you can't eat it, drink it.
That's right. And
because they would have taught you that on day one in dietetic school, wouldn't they? You're like, don't eat food, just drink protein drink.
That's true. And I try and tell clients, look, you got 3 main meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then you got mid meals, morning tea and afternoon tea as snack, and potentially a dessert. So think about what sort of calories you want to hit throughout the day. How do you want to break that out throughout the day? And then, so you split it across main meals and snacks. Now, our protein shakes would be perfect for a snack, like a morning tea or an afternoon tea. And then we've got our dessert specified shake options. But don't get confused and try and think that should be your main meal lunch. Because
keep it balanced.
No, keep it balanced. Go for real food there and use this as in-betweens.
And people, don't be afraid to go talk to a dietitian. Like, you guys offer a lot. Don't you? What do dietitians actually do in this space?
I hope that dietitians are getting a better rap than we once did. I hope that dietitians are kind of reading the room and reading the clientele that's in front of them better, actually, because I know that there was a time when it was kind of thought that, like, I don't want to go see a dietitian because he's just going to tell me I can't do this, and it's just a food policeman, and it's too complicated. He's going to make me eat all these strange foods. I'm not going to be able to follow it. And look, I've always taken the approach of you listen to a client normally has numerous goals. Try prioritize it first of all. What are we going to work on first for, say, the next 6 months? What's our primary focus? Is it, because nutrition affects everything.
Absolutely.
But we can't exactly get everything right in the beginning. So let's narrow it down to what the primary focus is. Then remember that food is functional. Therefore, each time you eat, it does have a function that it's producing for the body. Either it's giving you more energy, or it's helping more muscle recovery, or it's helping brain, or it's helping you sleep, helping you focus. But which one's the primary priority for you right now? And then simply what we do is we provide a meal plan with options that's tailored to the individual according to their lifestyle, according to their specific goals, and according to their foods that they like and dislike. There's so many ways to do it to get the same result. So you work off what the client actually enjoys eating, and don't put in stuff that they're not going to eat because they won't do it anyway. And there's so many ways we can make that happen. So they've got some options, whether they need convenient, quick options. When they've got more time, do this meal. When you need an easy option, here's this snack. And I've always given sort of 3 or 4 options for each meal and snack throughout the day. Follow it for 4-6 weeks. Come back. What's working? What's not? Let's adjust it. Might hit a plateau at some point, and we need to shock the body and move forward that way.
Yeah, nice. Okay, this next question stinks. Are there any potential side effects to consuming too much whey protein?
Stinks. It can. I mean, we've all heard it before that it can, might produce a bit more gas, or
Did you say might?
Might. I mean, it can, but that's just understanding your body and listening to your body, and that might be okay. If that's the worst side effect, that's not too bad. You can understand perhaps you overdid it that day, had too many shakes. Could I rather have had a meal? Did my body struggle to digest that final shake I had in the day? Or is it again that you just need a different source of protein in your shake? Is that where the plant-based one would have settled better, or would a whey isolate would have settled better than a concentrate? That it's also just listening to your body like that. But pretty much it's not all that common, I think people make out.
The next one is, and I'm probably going to jump in a lot on this answer, I'm sorry, because
go for it.
Is there a difference between whey protein concentrate and whey protein isolate? Well, there is.
You tell me first.
Well, whey protein isolate is very expensive. Whey protein concentrate is more aligned with people who are on a high protein diet from a budgetary perspective.
Yeah.
The protein contents probably vary by 10%. The carbohydrate the same. The reality is I've dealt with a lot of researchers over time, and when people are conducting research, they normally do a whey base as a standard meal. Like if there's a meal when someone's doing research, not protein research, but doing research, and every researcher I've ever spoken to, and I'm not talking somebody who's training to do the 100 meters in under 10 seconds. Okay, I'm talking about people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like mass market, like if you're a super elite athlete who wants the best fuel in the world from a protein perspective, go WPI. I'm not going to fight that at all. It is a few % better than WPC. But from the researchers, when I said, do you want WPI, WPC? They laugh. They laugh at me and go, you marketing guys. I go, what do you mean? They go, mate, seriously, they're both fast proteins.
That's awesome, actually. That's really
Do you know what I mean? Like, and so when it comes to value for money and we use a lot of WPC, and purely because we don't want to keep putting proteins at $100. We want proteins to come down in price.
That's
be
awesome,
more consumed by more people. And so WPC for here at Body Science at the moment is the king. And, if the world changes and WPI becomes sensible in pricing, we'll introduce that to all of our products because we want to give, what we can. But the reality here is the fat, the carbs, the protein content, they're not, I mean, if you're one of these people that is chewing on 3 calories or something like that, like some of the questions we get asked on a 5 gram serve, like how many calories in that? Like seriously, the worst it can be is 5 by 9. You know what I mean? Like seriously, and most of it doesn't even have protein carbs in it. So seriously, but people are super pedantic. And look, if you're standing, when you were in Muscle Mania, you would have wanted to know exactly what you're doing and where you're. I get that.
Yeah.
I am not talking about competitive bodybuilders. And I'm not talking about people, if you are running 100 meters, you could still do WPC and survive. But from the perspective of the average punter out there, the difference is so minimal to you over 12 months.
So true. This is probably a big myth bust, actually, that we're talking about. Again, people are generally very pedantic around certain areas, around what 5 or 10% of their life is very pedantic. The other 90% is total other end of the scale. So why are we getting so tied up on the small areas of it? Big picture is top up some protein in your day. Yeah. And whether it's in the end, whether it's concentrate or isolate. Right?
Whey's the king. Whey is the king. And look, seriously, let me throw this out, and we'll stop the podcast on this one because we've been going forever, to be honest. If you're training the house down Monday to Friday and going out in the piss on Saturday night, you can have WPC.
Yes, that's just putting it into perspective, right?
You know what I mean? Like you can live on WPC and you get a lot more value for your buck, and you can add a fat burner in there or some type of booster or some type of greens for me. You get more money in your cart for the value between WPI and WPC is not worthy of the incredible difference in price.
I think it means a lot that you're able to disclose that sort of information as a leader in the industry with where you're at. So I hope that resonates a lot with our listeners. Yeah.
Oh, look, whey protein concentrate itself has stupidly gone up over COVID, like supply chain and popularity, and milk proteins came flying in, and you'll see a lot more milk proteins in people's formulas now. And milk proteins are great.
Yeah.
They mimic milk.
Yeah.
They're still high protein, they're still low carb, but they do all the good things. They're just not whey.
Yeah.
So the thing here is, if you're choosing where you want to go, make sure there's whey in the blend. It's a whey protein, or because, whey's king, WPI, WPC. I'll be honest, I'm talking to the best researchers in the world in this space I'm talking about, and they laugh. Cool. So, I don't know.
Great.
Been doing this for a while. I think people need value.
That's right. Make it achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The expensive proteins these days are good plant proteins. Wow, you're paying for those these days.
Yeah.
But a good plant protein that tastes good is something you'll comply with and you'll use regularly. So nothing worse than going, oh shit, I've got to drink this.
No, that's not what it should be like. Something that you look forward to.
Yeah. So, and look, and one of the big trends that's coming out right now, which we're all over too, is protein water. We're doing that with collagen powders that you can mix yourself and a little bit of whey in those and a few other little things, and they're great. They're a nice non-milky alternative that's come to market recently.
Yeah, no, since I've been here, that's been a whole new world for me. And I'm using that daily. I think it's wonderful as a alternative or to milk-based protein shakes, which we're also accustomed to. To now have a refreshing juice flavored
it's
juice
a different
texture,
way to take it.
Different, something that you could even just sip on throughout the day, top up. Like people just, instead of drinking calories from juice, you're actually drinking some protein juice. Think of it like that. It's actually pretty cool. Plus the added benefits of the collagen, which we alluded to in the beginning, that I'm starting to need.
Yeah, and somebody should put that with sparkling water and make it.
Wow. We've got something special coming for you, Greg. You might be aware of it.
Might be a little 15-gram can of the most incredible flavoured soft drink style drinks that I've ever had with the word protein wrapped around them.
62 calories. Yeah, we should bring out 4 different flavours. Yeah.
If you want it, we'll do it.
Okay.
But hey, thanks for listening, everyone. They're the type of questions we get through our customer service office. We will be doing this regularly, Mark, jumping on and just asking a whole lot of random questions and letting people know what we think. And thanks for coming on board again, mate.
I love it. Let's do it. Thanks, Greg.
Perfect.
Cheers.
See you, mate.